Rev up your engines! Now, people like Subaru Foresters because they really are handy. You can fit a lot of stuff in them. But do they hold up? Here's one with 60-something thousand miles on it, and the guy's been real happy with it, with one exception. It's making a humming noise. I think it's a wheel bearing, but you can't blame the car because his wife hit something on the highway, I believe, and we don't know exactly what it was, but I'm pretty sure it probably messed up the wheel bearing. We'll check that later. For the vehicle itself, kind of a mid-sized SUV, mid-small, whatever. People have so many names or anything to make your head spin. Now, many people buy them for safety. They have a very high safety rating. But even though he's a fireman, he bought it because they got a giant dog. And it fits in the back, so, you know, it makes a lot of sense there. But under the hood, it's got a very reliable 4-cylinder boxer engine. And it's a Subaru, so it's all-wheel drive. But you put all the weight and all-wheel drive together, he still gets 35 miles a gallon on a highway in this thing. The problem with a lot of the Toyotas, they're excellent. They run forever. But they all get crappy gas mileage because they have bigger engines. You put a smaller engine in, it's got enough power to get you around, and you're going to get much better gas mileage. And it's a conventional car. It's not leather and fancy. It's got cloth seats. Guess what? Cloth seats last forever. Look at my Matrix. They still look brand new, and the car is 16 years old. There's nothing wrong with cloth seats. What does it sound like? A Subaru engine. AC still works. Everything on it's going fine. It's got enough horsepower as you see in the road tests to get around, but 35 miles a gallon with an SUV like this and an automatic transmission. It's pretty good technology. So take it for a ride and listen to the noise. Now here I am in the back seat. Why I'm in the back seat? Because he said the noise is in the back. And how can you hear it best? By sitting in the back. So here we go. One wheel in the back on the right and one on the left. The noise is coming from this side, the right-hand side. Now here's a tip. My house is up in the air so it doesn't flood, but you want to work on a car in a flat space if you're taking the wheels off. So park it on a flat part before you jack it up. Now we'll give it a little spin. And I can hear it. Now, she must have hit something pretty hard back here, so while we're here, let's look around. All right, the insulator bushings are good. The strut's good. The strut bushings are good. It's just the wheel bearing got damaged. Definitely needs a wheel bearing. It's a hub assembly. You can buy the whole thing. It bolts on and off. And here is the clue. His wife hit the thing about a year ago, and he admits the noise has gotten progressively worse as time goes on. And that's what happens. The wheel bearings have very tight tolerances, and there's grease in them. When you hit something, it makes a slight bend. And it only has to be thousandths of an inch. Since it's cockeyed, it starts making a little noise. But as time goes on, the wear gets worse and it starts roaring louder and louder. So if you get a soft noise and it starts getting louder and louder over a year, you can be just about 100% sure it's damaged the bearings. You can't replace just the bearings. You got to buy the hub assembly, but you can get the factory ones for like $230. Or if you want to go cheap Chinese, you know, some of those are $80. I wouldn't advise it, but he's been driving this thing a whole year. He's had no problems other than turning the radio up a little louder so he doesn't hear the humming going on. It's not like the wheel's going to fall off because even though it's been a year, look, when I pull it here, it doesn't wobble. When I pull it here, it doesn't wobble. It still works perfectly fine. But when you have the weight of the vehicle on it, that strains the bearing more. I mean, you can hear it now when you spin it, but as you're driving on the road, that's amplified 10 or 15 times, and it'll start humming. But, I mean, you've been driving it a year with no problems. And when you look at the tire, there's no bumps or ridges on it. Once they start to wobble back and forth, they're dangerous. Of course, the tire will have gigantic bald spots and bumps, and it'll look horrible. But this tire's still fine. Now, oddly enough, the front one's fine. So somehow she must have like swerved a little to get around something, but then the back hit it. That's probably why it hit this one and made that noise. It's not something you have to do right away, but as you can see, since it's just bolt on and bolt off, don't go to somebody where they're going to try to hit you for $800-900 for doing a simple job. It's a bolt on and bolt off. It isn't like the olden days. You could get bearings for $40-50, really good bearings. But then you had to get a machine press, you had to press the old ones off, press the new ones in. These are all blind bearings. They're made in the factory. When they go, you throw them away and you buy the whole hub assembly. And being an all-wheel drive Subaru, every single one of them is made that way. It's not like the front's different from the back. So they're all very easy to replace. Once you know what it is, simple hand tools and a jack, don't get ripped off by some mechanic. On the other hand, let's say the tire was really badly worn. You could do the job, but once you were done with the job, I would advise going to a front end alignment shop and having the alignment done, because of course front end alignments are front ends. The back ones, these are independent suspension. They need alignment too. You actually need a four-wheel alignment. So if the back one's bad and the tire's worn weird after the work, you'd want to have the alignment checked. And of course, if the tire was worn oddly, just throw it away and put a new tire on it too. But there you want to heed my big warning. Are you sure you want an all-wheel drive vehicle? You have to replace all four at the same time. It's going to mess with the differential, with the transmission, with the all-wheel drive system. It's a pretty good car. He's got no gripes. 35 miles a gallon out of something like this that has got decent pickup. He can fit his giant Great Dane in the back. Let his wife stay away from giant holes in the road. But I mean, hey, it was a year ago. The car still runs fine. And this is the funny thing, and I see it all the time. It didn't even damage the tire or the rim. The tire and the rim is perfectly fine. All it takes, an inside bearing, maybe a thousandth of an inch. And then when it's off a thousandth of an inch, it's rubbing a tiny bit. Starts to make noise. The more it rubs, then more friction. Then it wears a little bit more. And it's still only a few thousandths off, because when you pull it, it doesn't make any noise, doesn't have any play in it. Hey, he's a fireman. He can do stuff like that. I told him, bolt it on, bolt it off, you know? And even if you don't have any tools, a lot of these places, they'll rent you the tools and you get your money back at the end, because they want to sell you the parts. You buy the part, they rent you the tools. It only costs you what the part costs you. There's a lot of tools you don't have to buy yourself. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Fear Irishman says, I have a vibration while I accelerate. I sold my WRX and picked up an '01 Toyota Corolla. Runs good. 164,000. When I accelerate 27 to 2800 RPMs, there's a lot of vibration, like a buzzing sound. Not sure what it is. It sounds like it might be a VTEC or the clamps. It runs fine otherwise. What could it be? Noises and vibrations can be real stinkers to figure out. Watch my video, Finding the Source of Car Noises, Scotty. You can buy one of those machines, and there's all kinds of machines. That one's like 150 new. You can get them used for 60, or you can buy a brand new Chinese version. I got another video on that. That costs like 60 bucks. And it comes with wires and sending units, headphones, and a control box. And if there's 8 sensors like in the Chinese one I have, you put one all over the body and you click 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 while you're driving. Well, let somebody else driving and you can listen. And you say, okay, it's loudest here. And then you go to that area and you pinpoint the noise. You say it only occurs at certain RPMs. So it's certain engine spins. It could be as simple as your fan belt's worn and loose, or your automatic tensioner. A lot of times the automatic tensioners, those Corollas go bad, and they'll start vibrating at a certain speed, and that would be at the engine. And you put things on automatic adjuster, one of those clips, and you hear the noise loud there, you know that's what it is. You always have to pinpoint it rather than guess. It's Corolla. They're really well-made vehicle, and they generally don't have any kind of problem. So something like that, a known problem is the automatic adjuster. Could even be an alternator, bearings are going out, but you can pinpoint it with a machine like that to listen to find it out what it is. And of course, if you can just sit there in the driveway and rev it up to 27, 2800 RPM and then hear it, you can use your ears and a giant screwdriver to find out where the vibration's coming from. Mr. Chandler says, Scotty, the airbag light came on in my car. It won't go off. I took the battery off, moved the switch of the airbag. What can I do? Airbag systems are relatively complex, but your airbag light is on. When it's on, it means it's not operating right, and there is a code stored. Start with a mechanic like me that has a good scan tool. Get it scanned. You'll get a code. They'll tell you what it is. If they don't tell what it is, email me and I'll tell you what it is. The codes all have specific meanings. It could be as simple as there's some debris hit the sensor on the front, or a wire got clipped, or it could be as complex as the module for it has gone bad. Obviously, you got a problem, and resetting it isn't going to fix the problem. And it could even be the airbag itself has gone bad. They do go bad over time. It's 2013, so, you know, it's a 10-year-old car. Things just wear out, and it's a Hyundai, so that doesn't shock me in the least, you know. Maybe check closely. See if there's a recall for your airbag. Maybe it's got those stupid Takata airbags and it's recalled and you get it fixed for free. You never know. Always check recalls first. All you got to do is go to the National Highway Traffic Safety Association and put in your VIN number. It'll tell you if there's recalls for it. It's a real handy free website that the government has. And if it is, take it in. They got to fix it for free. If not, and it's not covered, you can probably look at pretty expensive repairs, because airbag parts are very expensive. Generally, they're only sold at the dealer, and working on them is not that easy. You got to have expensive equipment, so nobody's going to fix them that cheaply. Jason16 says, should I keep my Ford Fusion? I have an '06 Ford Fusion, 2.3 liter manual tranny. I kind of figured it was a standard transmission if you got 243,000, because I've never seen a Fusion with an automatic that lasted much over 100, if even that horrible automatic transmission bushings, but that's a standard transmission. If I were you, I'd just keep changing the oil and take care of it. The prices of cars are so high nowadays that it would be stupid to buy another car if your car's running okay. Change your oil a lot, take care of it. Who knows how long it's going to last? Now, if the engine starts to go out, then you got to decide, you're going to put many thousands or you're going to get another car. But if it still runs perfectly fine, I'd leave it alone unless you were moving somewhere where you didn't need a car and then sell it for whatever you can get and then go someplace else. But you're going to have to replace it. You got all that mileage, 243,000 miles, it's still running, and it is a standard transmission. Those don't have problems like the automatics did. So if I were you, I'd hold my hand for a while. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.